Hi, welcome to another episode of the Chicago Milwaukee Northwestern Reviews. This review, we're talking about the rivet counter and operator Trinity 31,000 gallon crude oil tank car, Deep Rock Refining Company. So the list price for the operator is $31.99 and the sale price at Hiawatha Hobbies is $25.99. For the rivet counter, the list price is $49.99 with the sale price of $39.99. Now, from what I understand, is that the bulk purchases of like 12 or more, 18 or more, whatever they were, are kind of a thing of the past. Now, some of the older cars, like same car, it's a Trinity 31,000 gallon crude oil tank car. This is the Statoil marketing and trading, same price and everything, but from what I gather, this was actually part of a bulk purchase. So if you buy multiples of them, of certain quantities, you would get a little price break, and it sounds like that's stopped. So we're gonna go through, do a little unboxing of four cars here. We've got the Trinity 31,000 gallon, all four cars. Two of them are the Statoil. Two of them are Statoil. One of them is with the modern reflective stripes, and then we've got two with the Deep Rock. One of them has the rivet counters have the reflective stripes, and the operators do not. And again, list price is $50 on the rivet counter with a sale of $40, and then $32 at retail on the operators, and $26 for the sale price. So we're gonna move the camera here in just a second, and we're gonna get a nice close-up of the unboxing. Alright, so this is my first time doing an unboxing like this. I'm actually awkwardly behind the tripod and whatnot. But I've heard that the unboxing I've done before was kind of a pain. You guys couldn't quite see what you're looking at, or what I was trying to show you. And that's totally fair. That needs to be improved upon. And that's what I'm trying to do. So if you have any tips, if you leave a thumbs down or something, let me know what I'm doing, what I can do to improve, what you don't like about it. Otherwise, I can't improve and you're just being an unpleasant person. So, without any further ado, let's start unboxing. So we're going to start with this fella right here. Let's see. Okay. I'm trying to see where everything is. So this is this guy right here. We're going to unbox this guy. And this is actually my car. I purchased this car for myself to see if it was something worth buying for the layout as a unit train and saving up for. So right away we can see this has got nice secure packaging. Nice little thin sheet of soft plastic to protect all the details. You can see the shields and whatnot on the end here, the blue caps that roll with the wheels. You've got the placard covers here, lots of great fine print. You've got the safety stripes, detail on all the rivets and stuff, see-through steps, or the platform up here. You've got the information on the top of the car. You've got detail on the end of the car. The shelf couplers, hoses, all the details on the bottom you could want for on a tank car. And I think tank cars are actually some of the few cars that are actually worth doing all the details on because they're exposed. Everything's exposed. You can see everything on them. That and covered hoppers, you can see most of the detailing on the ends and whatnot. But like box cars and other things where all that stuff's kind of secluded underneath and you don't even see it. But I feel like when you're looking at it from like the side of a tank car, you can still see underneath. So let's pull this little guy out here, see if I can do it without breaking him. And this bar is not level. I'm just going to say that right now. I did not build this bar. It was with the house. So right here we can see all the detail on this thing. It's beautiful. Tip it over, you see all the piping. The solid metal axles provided by Scaletrains, which roll beautifully. Nice free rolling wheels. Their own Scaletrains couplers. I probably won't be replacing them on the tank cars if I do a unit train, just because it's expensive and they're a pain to uncouple anyways. So if I'm not going to be running it with the rest of my equipment, I see no reason to have to change these out anyways. So nice detail all the way around. I don't really see any paint blemishes. I see some dust and stuff, maybe a small scratch or a chip here. Nothing that weathering isn't going to hide. And since I plan on weathering my stuff, I'm getting less and less picky about it. But you can see all the wonderful detail on this thing. Let's go to the shields a little bit here. So you can see the shield, all the information on it that's printed. You can see the holes here. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be grab irons there. I don't see any. Maybe it's for another placard or something that might be added later. But if looking at this, it feels like that shield isn't quite on there square. It feels like this side's kind of high or the other side's kind of low. Kind of looking at it here. I'd be interested to see if the other cars have a similar issue. This one seems like it's pretty level. So I'm not going to knock them on that. I'm not too worried about it. But for people who, you're paying $40 to $50 a car for these things. It's not cheap. You want what you really want out of it. But you've got the coupler cut lever. You've got the grab irons here. Some more detail. You've got your nice little brake handle here. Put this guy off to the side. Hope he doesn't roll off. Yep, he wants to go. So now we're going to open up basically the operator version of him. So this is $15 less in price, essentially. Buying it on the sale price. So again, overall looks like very good quality. You can see the brake detail underneath. I feel like there might actually be a little bit less. I think when we get this on the turntable, we're going to put them on their sides and kind of see what really is there. You can see it doesn't have the placards on here for the hazards and our hazmat signs and everything. Does not have the shelf couplers on this. There's a bit of a difference here. Doesn't have the coloring up here for the step. It's a solid step too, or a solid platform. It's not see-through. There's less detail, less rivets and whatnot on the hatches on top. A little bit less to talk about. You don't have the painted or roller bearing trucks. It's a fair bit less, but you're paying a fair bit less. It's a different car. It really is. So, this thing is not. This bar is going to need to get some work done to it because this is not going to work. All right. We'll go like this. All right. So next we have the rivet counter with the white and black paint job for the Trinity Deep Rock Mining Company or Deep Rock Refining Company. So same packaging for the most part. And this guy I purchased for myself as well. I did that before I ripped the box right there. Yes, that is my bad, but it is actually my... Wait, that was painted, or that was taped. So someone else did that. I just happened to rip the tape off. But anywho, that's my box now anyways. This is actually a completely clear pack, which is kind of interesting. I've noticed a couple of companies doing that now. Also, this one has foam on here to help protect the car. The other two did not. And another thing is, this has got black couplers. Something else the other two cars did not have. They were gray, or rusty brown. So that's kind of interesting that they're actually a different style of couplers, or different color. So again, you can see all the details on here. There's actually no placard on the side for hazmat, but it is on the ends. So let's pull them out real quick. So this has got all the bells and whistles on it again. This has got that gray paint or grit on the top for stepping on and whatnot. You've got some good detail on it all the way around. Again, you've got the good roller bearing trucks with the rolling bearings. You've got the ends here with all the detail on them. This one looks pretty level. It's also got a little bar going out, sticking out. Which I didn't even notice on the black one, on the rivet counter, that it's got that little louvers there holding this one in place. But we can see some minor paint blemishes on this handrail here, which again I'm not going to worry about, just because it's going to get weathered. And then here you can see this hand grab iron here is a little out of place, a little bit broken. But at least the shield's level, the placards on there. You can see the brake wheel with all the detail behind that. You can even see the orange painted on the back there, either for rust or for safety, whatever that is. And again, I think it's interesting that they have black couplers on this one. So with that one out of the way, let's open up. Oh, and then your extra bearing covers, or journal, yeah, bearing covers. It's interesting that this packaging is all clear. Maybe it was too expensive to get the coloring in the other ones. Or perhaps a cost-saving technique. Okay, so the operator version of the same car as the last one. Very firm packaging. Didn't rip this one open, thankfully. So same clear packaging. Note that this one does not have the foam protectors on it. Visibly less detail, especially with those safety stripes not being there. It does kind of stand out, make the car pop a little bit more. Does not have the safety grit or paint or whatever that is on top there. And this, that's weird. This has got the placard holder on the side, but no placard. This one doesn't have it on this side, but it does on this side. So this one's actually missing it, which is interesting. All right. Anywho, continuing on. So we're going to pull this guy out nice and easy. I don't feel like buying another one. So this does have a placard on both sides, thankfully. But we can see that this one's damaged here. The grab iron here at the end is out of place. These literally just came in this week. No one's been to these. This is not a used item. But you still get the nice solid steel axles. Very good lettering, crisp lettering. Still get your brake wheel and everything, but you don't get the coupler cut bars, you don't get the grab irons here. A very good car for a unit train, especially if you're going to be operating them a lot. There's less to break, there's less to fall off and whatnot. These are still rock solid cars. They're very nice cars, and I expect that they are just as robust, and just as much quality in them. So let's stop here and we'll put them next to each other, see how they look. Alright, I'm going to go over and cover some of the differences here. Of course, you can already kind of play the game of what's the difference between the two. You can see some considerable differences. One being, right off the top, the stripes, the safety stripes on the car. You can see those along the side here. Not on this car. Something else I want to point out is on the top here, you can kind of see the gray. There's none here. The placards, this has a placard, but it doesn't have the actual feature of the safety markings. And then you can see the difference in the trucks. This doesn't have the lettering of the blue caps. This has the rotating blue caps and the lettering on the trucks. Another thing is you got this placard here, or this decal here, with information on it. Does not have it here, and actually this has got a good blemish on the car right here. I doubt that has anything to do with the level of detail on the model. But more or less just damage to go along with this guy here, showing that, you know, things get beat up in transit. So I wouldn't hold that against them. Things happen all the time. That's why you're allowed to return things at the hobby shop. The next thing I want to point out here is the couplers. So you've got the shelf coupler here, but not on this car. On both ends, you can see it's just a black coupler. It's interesting that it's black and not brown. I'm not sure what the difference is or why they put it on these. It's just something different, nothing too great. And then again, underneath, you can see some of the detail on the cars. I may actually lower the camera a little bit here, so maybe you can see a little bit better. But some of the difference in detail on the cars, it looks like on this one you've got a lot more going on over here than on this car. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, because my play and pause button is in the way. but I can see a good bit of difference there. There's just more piping, more lines, more stuff going on. They both have shields. They both have the basic detail, road number, bunch of different graphics over here, or a table and whatnot. You still have that on this one. You just don't have that yellow safety information here over here. And you don't have the safety stripes going along the car. You don't have the safety grip. That's what I'm assuming this gray stuff is on top of the car here. You don't have that on this one. But again, you know, when I'm rail fanning and I see a train go by, I'm not looking for that stuff. And they have broken hand grabs all the time, so it's not something I'd be hugely concerned about on my model. Not to mention my stuff isn't always in the best shape either. It gets used, it gets handled. And I know there's always the debate of, you know, do I have the nice stuff and do I not? Am I afraid to run it, or do I get the less expensive stuff and do I operate the snot out of it? Well, if you're not afraid to, if you want the nice stuff like I have, you know, I've got some of both. I'm not afraid to operate it. That's what I buy it for. I know it's going to get broken, but I just try to appreciate what I have while I have it. So that's it on those. That's all I really intended to cover. The ends are pretty self-explanatory. Same thing with the placards. The information is really about the same. But if you, what I'll probably do is put them on tracks next to each other and cover that in just a moment. Next, we're going to go on to the black cars. So you can see on these a little bit here, some of the differences stand out a little bit more. Again, in the middle with the couplers, you've got the shelf couplers versus the non-shelf couplers. And again, they're two different colors. This is a lighter brown, this is a darker brown. I think it's just the production run of couplers is the only difference. I think that's all it is. I wouldn't even look into it. But another difference you can kind of see here, you can see your train line hose over on the right on the rivet counter, but not on the left. Again, with the trucks, the blue caps, the white lettering, and a lack of it over here. The safety stripes, the grip from up here is not available on this one. The colored placard over there, but not here. Basically the same differences. It's just maybe a little bit more evident on these cars. So I guess the next thing we'll go over is the ends. I'll line them up and remount the phone. Here we go. Alright, so we're back here with a little bit different view. We've got all four cars lined up, and you can kind of see which one's the rivet counter, which one isn't. From right to left, we've got rivet counter, operator, rivet counter, operator. And I wanted to do this as kind of a side-by-side to help you see some of the difference in details against the black cars, against the white ends. And then, of course, between the two different levels of detail. Now, I just want to take a minute and point out that Scaletrains is really the only brand to do this, to do the same cars in two different levels of detail, with even the same road number. Because very few brands, I don't think even any do it. Intermountain has different cars in each one. Atherton has different cars and locomotives in each level of detail. I mean, maybe over the years they've kind of crossed paths a little bit between the manufacturers, but you know, this is the only time they get released at the same time with different levels of detail, and you really got to hand it to them because they're taking a big risk doing that, because they might find out like, hey, you know what? No one's buying the upgraded versions of these things. Like, it's just not worth it. You know, and then 5 years later, people complain there's not enough detail, and then they come out with it, and no one buys the operator. But they've done both at the same time. They've really taken that risk and that initiative, and I think they deserve a pat on the back and a nod to them for that. So you can go through and you can see the lack of detail on this thing here compared to this guy. So you've got the placard here without the coloring, but this one has it. Aside from that, the only real difference is the coupler cut lever on here versus not being on here. The see-through walkway here, which I'll get a different perspective of from overhead for you. But then you've got the grab irons here that you don't have here, and on the sides as well. And that's pretty much it. I feel like there's more looking at it from this angle, which I'll show you in a minute. But there really isn't too much. And then it's just the same differences between those two over there. So I'm going to pause it here for a quick second, and we're going to look from above. Alright, so you can see here a little bit more difference on the top here. You can see the tread versus the non-tread, the see-through with the non-see-through. On all four cars, the kind of minor differences. It's harder to see on the black cars, which is why I wanted two different colors for this review. But you can see the difference in here. You can see down, you can see the shadow of the track and whatnot, versus this is just plain white. But you could probably reflect rust on this a little bit easier than you could on that. I'm not a professional weathering person, but I mean, this could be easier. I don't know. Maybe there's no major difference. But on the top, looking down at these cars, that I'm going to notice right away. The hand grab sticking out from the side, you're going to notice right away. And then the paint up here, whether this is for the tread again or not, or the grip tape, whatever it is, grip adhesion, whatever, so people don't, non-slip surface, I suppose, versus this one, you'll notice that right away. You don't always notice it rail fanning unless you're on a bridge or from a perspective above, but on a freight car or model train, you're going to notice that. So that's about all I have for this review. I just want to take and kind of nod to Scaletrains here, because they've really gone ahead and done something that you don't really see too often. These cars are amazing. I'm glad that they're doing another run. I hope it's successful. Other than the small blemishes I saw here, which I only saw in the white tank cars, I suppose we saw that white chip on the one black car. I think that's minor stuff. It could probably be cleaned up or touched up with a Sharpie or just an eraser or something. But I'm not going to worry about it. These cars are going to get weathered, and the longer they run on the layout, the more they'll get weathered, and the more they'll get used. So I'm not too worried about it. But that's it for this review. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll put the link in the description below for Hiawatha Hobbies, where you can purchase these brand new. Prices will be down there as well. So until next time, take care.